Okay, let's talk about a huge word, decolonization. What does it actually mean, though?
For this, we're leaning on one key source, a chapter by historian Raymond F. Betts.
And that question? Well, that's really the core of what we're digging into today.
One writer put it this way, talking about the independence movements after World War II.
At first, decolonization just meant political change. New countries, new flags.
But that was just the start. The word's meaning was about to get a lot bigger.
And it happened so fast. The whole world map was basically redrawn in just a few years.
For a lot of people, it really felt like this unstoppable force of history.
The old colonial powers were just too weak after the war. They couldn't hold on.
So, new flags are flying. But that brought up a whole new, really important question.
This is where the idea of neo-colonialism comes in, thanks to thinker Kwame Nkrumah.
He even called it the worst kind of imperialism. Why? Because there was no accountability.
This led to dependency theory, the idea that political freedom didn't mean economic freedom.
And this quote gets at the next layer. The fight wasn't just about politics or money.
So a new question popped up. What about the impact on culture and identity?
Novelist Ngugi wa Thiong'o and his colleagues argued for a total cultural reset.
This is where post-colonial thought comes in, taking back the narrative and the language itself.
And these changes flowed right back to Europe, literally changing its demographics.
The idea just exploded. Look at this Google search result from 2010. And today, the term has spread everywhere, into art, music, film, you name it.
This brings up some really tough questions, like what to do with symbols of the past.
So yeah, the story of decolonization is far from over. It's a conversation we're still having.